Death is slow in the great white nothing. And 134 starved men will join devil against you, starting with the ones you hold closest.
The Terror is about a group of men who are confronting unimaginable odds of survival. We wanted to try to develop the show basically as a set of character stories.
You're about to surpass us all, son. You're going somewhere no man has ever been.
When people read newspaper articles about these discovery expeditions, they're reading stories about lands they can't even dream and imagine about. These men were the astronauts of their day.
And it was a very exciting and, for the time, glamorous occupation. And the prize of all of the things that they were hoping to discover was the Northwest Passage.
That is not just ice ahead. It is the pack.
That is an interesting speculation.
The character Sir John Franklin, who I play, is very much a god and countryman, and he believes it's a God-given right for him to command this expedition for his glory and the glory of the country.
He's very much a man of the Victorian times who believes that Victorian ingenuity, Victorian idealism will in the end push through the day.
John Franklin had a kind of a mixed reputation. He had been on several failed expeditions and had garnered a reputation of being somebody everyone liked but not many people respected.
He led an expedition in the Arctic before, and it went very badly wrong, and he lost about 10 or 11 men, and I think that lives with him.
What a disappointment that must be to you.
Simply that we're two men on two very different ships.
Francis Crozier was probably, even inarguably, the best sailor of all of the potential captains for this expedition. The reason he wasn't chosen seems to be that he was Irish, and that there was a kind of glass ceiling for Irishmen in the Royal Navy.
He'd been on many voyages of discovery, and he'd sort of seen all the plaudits going to everybody else. So there was some feeling at the time from reading his letters that he was fed up with the situation.
And for someone like him to be put upon this expedition, it's sort of his last chance to prove to the world that he has the right stuff, so to speak.
Crozier was technically the second in command. Practically speaking, he wasn't, and he'd been superseded really by Fitz James.
I just loaded a rocket and aimed when I was pierced. Single musket ball. Size of a cherry.
Tell us about Burgess Island, why don't you, James? That's a capital story.
James Fitzjames is known as sort of the mystery man of the Franklin expedition.
He's a bit of a star of the Navy when we meet him at the start of the story. He's climbed his way up pretty rapidly through the Navy.
In fact, he's very young for a captain.
He's not all that he seems, and what is revealed about him by this world, he's a fake, arguably. He's a construct.
I find his journey from someone who is telling the world this is who he is versus who he knows he is underneath, and having to reconcile that somehow in the middle of a disaster. I find him so fascinating. It can be surprising who can adapt, who can find room in their system of belief or in their worldview to accommodate the strange and the uncanny. Some of them rise to the occasion and open their minds, and others kind of end up paying the price of not being able to do that.
That's what we signed up for. An adventure for Queen and country. An adventure of a lifetime.